The United States is currently allowing a major geopolitical rival to sell millions of barrels of oil on the open market, providing an immediate path for that nation to profit. This reverses a hardline policy set in 2018. Under Donald Trump, the U.S. enacted strict economic sanctions, specifically designed to crush Iranian oil exports and drive them to absolute zero. This sudden 30-day reversal disrupted global market expectations, catching major energy consumers like India by surprise. This pivot raises a difficult question. Why would the U.S. government abandon a total blockade and permit an adversary to flood the market with oil? The immediate cause is the escalating conflict in West Asia. War in the region is threatening global supply chains and forcing commercial vessels to alter their shipping routes. These disruptions sent crude oil prices climbing from under $90 a barrel toward $120, with traders warning that costs could eventually reach $150. For the U.S. economy, these prices lead to higher inflation, increased recession risks, and a direct financial hit to consumers at the pump. This creates intense political pressure on U.S. leadership to find a mechanism that brings down global fuel costs immediately. To prevent an economic crash, the U.S. needed to inject millions of barrels into the market without committing to a permanent change in its foreign policy toward Iran. Rather than normalizing trade, the U.S. is using a strictly limited 30-day waiver as a crisis management tool. The waiver specifically targets floating storage, the estimated 130 to 170 million barrels of Iranian oil already loaded onto tankers sitting idle at sea. Buyers cannot sign new contracts for future production. They are limited to the oil currently floating in locations like the Gulf of Oman or the Arabian Sea. This serves as a surgical intervention to cool the market, providing a temporary supply boost while maintaining long-term diplomatic pressure. This window is particularly significant for India, which must import 85% of its total crude oil to meet national energy needs. Historically, this was a stable partnership. Before the 2018 sanctions, India sourced roughly 10 to 12% of its crude directly from Iran. India's refining infrastructure is already calibrated to process medium and heavy crude, oils with higher density and sulfur content that require specific industrial setups. Because Iranian crude fits this exact chemical profile, Indian refineries can process the influx immediately without expensive or time-consuming structural upgrades. The direct savings are substantial. Iran's typical $5 per barrel discount translates into a $120 million saving over the 30-day window. Furthermore, flooding the market forces global prices down. A sustained $10 drop means $10 billion in annual savings for India. The resulting drop in global averages provides far more financial relief to India's economy than a single month of discounted Iranian crude. However, moving this oil is difficult. The waiver is temporary and subject to the volatility of U.S. leadership. It could be revoked without warning. Financial barriers remain high because Iran is locked out of the SWIFT system, the global messaging network banks use to securely transmit money transfer instructions. Buyers must instead use complex barter or rupee-based trade systems. Physical transit is also dangerous. Tankers must navigate the Strait of Hormuz, where the risk of missile strikes and regional conflict is a constant reality. Legal permission to purchase the oil does not ensure that the physical product can be acquired safely or reliably. This volatility highlights a major strategic vulnerability, relying on a single region for energy, as seen with recent supply disruptions in Qatar. To counter this, true security requires expanding strategic petroleum reserves, massive government-managed stockpiles of crude kept to buffer against global supply shocks. Nations must also invest in naval power to physically protect their maritime routes from being caught in regional conflicts. Long-term economic safety is built on aggressive supplier diversification and self-reliance, which provide the stability that one-off flash sales cannot.